Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, I'm Jane. My husband Michael is behind the camera. We're British early retirees, debt and mortgage free, living a thrifty, frugal, budgeting and money saving life here in Brittany in northwest France. And every Sunday we share with you an aspect of our money saving life. Let's have a look at what we're going to talk about today. We are passionate about saving money and we are also passionate about living on a budget. And this Sunday and occasionally we share with you our actual real budget, our real income, the real money that's coming in and going out of this house. Now, I like to be reflective. If you are a UK pensioner and you are living in poverty on £800 a month and that is the only money you've got coming in, looking at people living like us on pension and income, it'll seem like an extraordinary amount of money. If you are somebody who has worked all your life and you've saved into a pension fund and you've amassed an amount of money, let's say anywhere between 500,000 and £1 million in your fund, and you're drawing down the money from that, maybe from an annuity of 20 to 40,000 a year, it will seem like peanuts. So I do need to be reflective about that, and I do need to explain to you that our income plus pension works out about the same as French minimum wage. So we live in a country that has a very high standard of living and a very high cost of living. So when it comes to budgets and when it comes to incomes, Mike and I are, for French standards, we're certainly not poor, but we're definitely not well off, and we're somewhere in the middle. So without further ado, first of all, I'm going to show you our actual budget. And after that, we are going to answer your budgeting questions. Okay, if you're watching this for the first time and you're new to budgeting, just like me, you need to know all the money coming in. And you need to know when it's going to come in, and you need to know when you are going to let it go out, when you are going to decide what to do with it. So our income for November is 2,465. We earned that money, and that's in inverted commas because some of it's income, some of it's pension. We earned that money in September and we were paid in arrears. One payment on the 15th, one payment on the 22nd, one payment till the end of October. We can't spend that money until all the money is in, and we keep it to one side, and then we release that on the 1st of November. So that's it. So you, like me, like everyone who's doing a budget, you need to know all the money coming in and when it's going to come in, how long you're going to hold it, where you're going to hold it, and when you're going to release it. Another question that we get asked all the time is, where do you put money? Where do you put it? What do you do with it? How many accounts have you got? What do you do with it? We have got 4 bank accounts. We pay €11 a month for all 4 of these bank accounts. So account number 1, you would call that a current account or a checking account. In there we move all our living costs. Account 2 is where we put all of our sinking funds. That's all of the money that we need to use at some stage over this year. In account 3, and it's an account that accrues interest, we keep our emergency fund and our long-term savings. We put it there, it earns a small, very small 2.2% interest, but we keep the emergency fund there, not in a higher interest account, because it's there for an emergency. And account number 4 is an account that earns a little bit more interest, and it's accumulation of all the previous long-term savings that we've built up over all those years that we've been together. It's slightly larger than our emergency fund. It's there. Who knows what we're going to spend it on? Anyone at any time. The house could need a new roof, the drainage could need replacing, but we know that at some stage we're probably going to need it. Let's start going through what we do with our income and how we break down our budget and everything we do with it. First of all, we as a couple who are debt-free, who are mortgage-free, who have no rent to pay, we decide that we are going to put 10% of our income each month into long-term savings. We have British pensions. That pension comes to us like a payment per month. Neither Mike nor I hold a pension fund, so it comes to us like an income. We also have income and therefore we save 10%. 10%, €245. We're also saving up for a car. We may or may not buy a new car at the end of this current car's warranty, but we are putting aside £5,000 over 3 years, which is 36 months, which is £140 a month. So we take off that first amount of savings, we're left with £2,080. The next thing that I often get asked about is, what sinking funds do you have? What categories do you have in your budget? How do you decide what you're going to put aside each month? What do you do with it? So we've already told you that we have a separate bank account for our sinking funds. We keep a running total of this on paper in a budget book. So we have monies in, we have monies out, and for each of these subtotals, we keep a running total. So we decided over the year that we would spend €600 a year on clothes, that's 300 each. We don't always do that, but it only takes a pair of winter boots, that's €60 each, and you can see where that budget goes. And therefore, if we decide that amount, we save 50 a month. And all the other categories are the same. We work out how much we want to save over the year, we divide that by 12. Gifts are quite easy. If we add up birthdays, Christmas, Mother's Day, Father's Day, all of those things, we have 12 gifts to buy, and that's easy. We have to save 50 a month. Pets and vets, we have 2 bichons frisés. They get groomed, they're relatively healthy, they haven't got very big vet bills, but we're putting aside 600 a year, 50 a month. We also have long-term savings should anything occur that the dog's got really sick, and no, we do not have pet insurance. We've put up the amount of trips and holidays. We want to live a bit. There's no pockets and shrouds. There's no point having money in the bank and a miserable life. So trips and holidays. 1 trip to the UK, a ferry and the Airbnb for 5 days was £1,000. We spent £500 on a trip to a seaside apartment here in France. And over the next 12 months, we'd like to do another one as well. So that's 170. We then have income tax. So income tax that we've just paid, that we'd already saved for, was 1,700. So we're going to make sure that we've got that for next year as well. And that's 145 a month. Property taxes, we've got tax foncière, tax habitation, which is based on income. We've got the bin tax as well. And we've worked out about 800 of that. That may increase. Nonetheless, we're saving 800 for that. Divide that by 12, 70 a month. And then there's all the stuff that we spend on the house, the garden, DIY, anything that we buy, from a pot of paint to a plant in the garden. And we've decided that we're going to spend 2,600 over the year. This last year we've decided 3,000, we've knocked that back. So you can see in total, our sinking funds come to 780 for the month. So if you take away 780 from 2,080, the running total is now 1,300. Let's see what we do with that amount. So now we're down to fixed costs. So we allow £300 a month for the supermarket. That's all food, all drink, all toiletries, all cleaning products, all laundry products. It's a good sized budget for 2 people. Our dogs cost us £60 a month to feed. Car fuel, we allow £100 a month. Car insurance, £46. Health insurance, which is top up insurance on top of the insurance that we all have across the country, which is for the Carte Vitale, which is funded by taxation and social charges. And our health insurance is £22. I get asked the question every single time, would it be cheaper if you paid your car and your car insurance and your home insurance in a lump sum? No, it's not. You don't get charged any more for that in France, so we just break it down and pay it monthly. Our bank charge for 4 bank accounts is €11 a month. For my mobile phone and Mike's mobile phone, that comes to £25. Our TV, internet and phone, and we have 2 lots of internet for that. We work online. It's therefore important that if one internet is a bit flaky, that we've got our 4G package as well, and that comes to £47. And then we have our EDF and electricity bill. We are very much in credit with that, and that figure will probably come down. We're being really mindful about this. But please note what is not there on this fixed costs. We do not have any subscriptions. We do not belong to any clubs. We do not have any TV packages like Amazon Prime or Netflix or any of those things. So there we go. Our fixed costs are $839 each month. Here's the final figure. So we have an income of 2,465. 385 went into long-term savings. 780 went into sinking funds. 839 went into fixed costs. The balance of that is 361. You'd say to yourself, what are you going to do with €361 every single month? We leave that very much in our account as a float. So having that as a float. But because we do 3 no spend months a year, and this is our November is a no spend month, we then add that, the 300 or even the 361, we'll leave the 61 there just in case, but we will move the 300 over to our long-term savings. The reason we have 3 no spend months a year is to put aside the discretionary spending in those months. We try each year to add another €1,000 to our long-term savings. And I say this because you never know. The roof might need fixing, something drastic might happen, we might get sick and can't work, any of those things. So anything that we can do to bolster our long-term savings gives us a buffer. Thank you very much for your question, Jennifer. And yes, it's not easy, is it? Well, I want you to take out the word unexpected and put in the word unplanned. These things are not unexpected. They are going to happen. And I promise you, you're going to forget. There will be a fundraising event at some stage, maybe in November at your child's school. And when it comes around next year again in November, if you didn't put that into your financial plan, you may well have forgotten about it. So, if you've got sinking funds for children, you're going to need maybe a fund for their clothing, for their gifts and presents, extra money for care or activities for the school holidays, any extracurricular activities they have. And then you need that sort of slush fund that you need to put money aside for, and it could be as much as £5, dollars, euros every single week for those bits and pieces and extra things. Those bits of money that you need to take in for the cookery class, those bits of money that you need for fundraising. And let's think about it. We have National Poetry Day, we have Book Week, we have Christmas Jumper Day, and so on and so forth. Get them on your calendar, Jennifer, and any other parent out there. They are not unexpected. They are going to happen. You need to put some money aside from this. However, I do want to add this. If it is fundraising, that is optional. You don't have to join in with that. So if you want to, go ahead and make that a separate sinking fund. It's a bit loosey-goosey to have just a sinking fund that, say if you've got children, that says the children. It needs to be a bit more organised than that and a bit more planned than that, but get that into your budget, and then those unplanned and unexpected things won't be such a shock, because they're not unexpected, they are going to happen. Thanks for your question, Heidi. Now, when it comes to defining sinking funds, there's really simple things you can do. First of all, stand in the mirror. Have you got eyes? You're going to need to go to an optician at some stage. If that's not on your health insurance, you're going to need a fund for that. Do you have teeth? Is that on your health insurance or not? If not, you are going to need a sinking fund for the dentist. Then do a life audit. Walk around absolutely everything you own. Your car is going to need tyres, it's going to need servicing. The windscreen could crack, it's going to need insuring. Go around your entire house. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong. Do you own a house? Has it got a roof? That could need fixing. Have you got a garden? Do you need a lawnmower? Does that lawnmower, is it immortal, or is it going to break down and need replacing one day? So do a life audit. Look around at absolutely everything you own and think to yourself, will this go wrong? Will this need fixing? And if it does, it needs a sinking fund. What an interesting question, Kelly. And yes, I could see how you would find that difficult to budget for. So you gave me the scenario of, for example, something for work. Then if that is a regular occurrence, Kelly, that needs a sinking fund. And if you imagine that the sinking fund fills up, you spend the money, it goes down, the workplace reimburses you, it goes up again. You then use the example of gifts. So for example, what if you bought the gift for your parents and said to your brother and sister, I'll buy it, you pay me back. You have a gift sinking fund, just as I showed you in our budget. The money tops up, you spend it, the money comes down again. And that's exactly the same. Anything that's going to be spent that you need to put aside money for, needs some kind of a savings pot or a sinking fund or whatever you want to call it. But if it's going to happen and you need to fund it, you need to put that money aside, ready to pay for it. And then when the money comes in and you are reimbursed, you can fill it up again. Thank you very much, Tina. Thank you very much, Carmel. It's a tricky question because it's not a budgeting question. It's a relationship question. So I'm going to completely skirt the relationship part of it. I don't know you, I don't know your partners, and I wouldn't even entertain suggesting changing yourself. But I do have some advice based on systems and habits. Having a system in place of when you write that budget. Now, we always have our budget in place by the third week of the month. We know what's coming in, ready for next month. So we know what's coming. We then know all of our spending categories. The only flexibility in our budget at all is the discretionary spending. Now, you as a couple can decide what you do with that. Let's say the discretionary spending is €300 a month. You can therefore decide after that, do you have 150 each? Do what you like with it. Do you decide you're going to have 100 each, and 100 of that you're going to decide jointly what you're going to do with it? You can then decide after that the systems that you have in place for tracking that spending of that discretionary spending. You could have decided that you don't track that amount, that that's just in your budget, discretionary spending, do what you like with it. Spend it all on hair and makeup, spend it all on fishing gear. It doesn't matter as long as that is in your budget. The important part is that you are both on board when it comes to your sinking funds, that you have decided that is the amount you're going to spend on those, and how you track that. Running your house is something that you do need to do in an organised, orderly and business-like and adult manner. As long as you get all of that in place, I would say it isn't essential that both of you are sitting down and you write a line in the budget and I write a line in the budget. That doesn't matter. You can sit down together and discuss overall. That really doesn't matter. The important part is both of you are doing the right, sensible and adult thing of sticking to what you agreed. If you're doing that, and at the end of the month, you have only spent what you've planned to spend, you've divided your discretionary spending however you decide to, I'd say that's working. Thank you so much for your question, Geeta. No, I don't do that. I don't do that. So I'm going to tell you what I do. As you saw in our budget, our annual things are those sinking funds, those amounts of money that we decided to spend. We decided our percentage that we're going to save. We've decided in advance how much money we're going to put into savings. We've got now a flexible income. It goes up about 300, it comes down about 300, but that leaves us either with an amount of discretionary spending or no discretionary spending, and everything else now is pretty much covered. But I would say this, you can't really have an annual budget. Every single month is unique and you've got to write a new budget every single month. So by week 3, you've got to have that budget in place for next month. Or even if you do it on the last day of the month or the first day of the month, when you know, like we know, absolutely to the penny how much money there is for all of us, then you can do it. Yearly budget isn't something that I would do. You saw in our budget that, as I said to you, we've got savings targets and that we've got sinking funds. But no, I personally for me, I'm certainly not telling you what to do. Write a budget anew, afresh, every single month. Thank you, Dustia. What a really good question. I don't know you, but it feels from your question like you're at the beginning of your budgeting journey and you're still learning as you go along. And we've often learned just as you have, or we've made those mistakes and we've worked at it. So I hope that you saw from the way that we laid out our budget today, and I really hope that that helped you, that you need to know all the money coming in. You then need to know of all of your fixed expenses. You need to set up all of your sinking funds for everything that touches your life is going to have a cost. You then need to have your percentage that you're going to save. Are you going to save 1%, 2%, 5%, 10%? The choice is yours. You do need to set aside some long-term savings first. Where you're going to put it and what you're going to do with it. If you have any discretionary spending at the end of it, you can decide who's going to get how much in the family. Are we going to divide it between the two of us? Are we going to give any of it to the children as pocket money? Are we going to budget each part of that? For example, let's say you had 100 a month of discretionary spending. Are you going to say, we'll spend 20 of that a month on take-out food or take-out coffees? We'll spend 30 of that a month on entertainment, and we'll spend the X amount of that on whatever we like. I really hope that the budgeting section helped you today, Destiel, and helped answer your question. So there we go. I hope that was useful for you. Let's sum it up, shall we? A budget is a forward plan, a written plan. Whether you use an app, whether you use a budget book, whether you use a notebook, but it is a forward plan of where your money is going to go. Then there's a bit of that that's beyond the mathematics. It's you committing to sticking to it. Now, I got asked a lot of questions about food budgeting, and we're going to make a whole separate video of that. So look out for that budget video in the future, all about sticking to a food budget. We love all of your comments. We read every single one of them. And we want to thank everyone for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.